Today we will be covering lesson 12-4 on slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines. This lesson will be chunked into 6 parts. The first section will cover questions 1 and 2. Then we'll be covering questions 3 to 4. Third, we'll be covering questions 5 to 7. Question number 8 only. Question 9 to 12. And then we'll round this lesson out with question number 13. Let's take a look at the introduction to 1 to 2. Parallel lines and perpendicular lines are pairs of lines that have special relationships. Parallel lines in a plane are equidistant from each other at all points. We have this picture of 4 lines. It says consider lines L1, L2, L3, and L4 on the graph above. Determine the slope of each line. Okay, whenever I do this, I always find 2 points on each line, and then I calculate my rise and my run. Okay, now we need to pay attention to our scale, because notice that our scale, we go from 2 to 3, but there's a hash mark in between. So it's counting by halves, even though it's not labeling every half. The same thing with our eggs. Here we have 1, we have 2, but there's a hash in between. So keep that in mind as we count, okay? I'm going to look at L1. L1 has a point at 0, 2. And then it has another point. Let's see if we can find another one. Oh, right here at 2, 3. So we go 0, 2, and 2, 3. So we're going to count our rise over our run. Well, how much do I rise to get from this point to this point? We rise 1, because remember that's a hash, so 1. And then we're going to run 1, 2. Remember, I only count every other, basically. So we are rising 1, running 2. Next, we're going to look at L2, the slope of L2. Well, I have an ordered pair here at 0, 0. Let's see if we can identify another point on the line. I have 3, 1, it looks like. Oh, sorry. That's 3, 1.5. Okay. So we are basically rising 1.5, and we are running 3. So I have rise of 1.5, run of 3. Let's see if we can find out if that's reduced to anything. Because 1.5, I don't really care for that decimal with inside a fraction. So we're going to do 1.5 divided by 3. And then I'm going to do math. Choose that first option to give myself a fraction. 1 over 2. So up 1 over 2. Let's take a look at L3. Okay, well, L3 also contains 0, 0. I can use that. And let's see. I got -2, backwards. I got 3, -2. X before Y, sorry. So we are going to go down 2. So I'm going to indicate that with a negative. And then we are going to go to the right 3. So I got down 2, right 3. Let's take a look at L4. So let's find 2 points on L4. Got this point right here, which is 0, -1. I got a point here at 3, -3. So let's take a look at that. We're going to go down 1, down 2, and then we go to the right 3. So again, that was down 2, right 3. Question number 2 says, reason quantitatively. In the graph above, L1 is parallel to L2, and L3 is parallel to L4. Write a conjecture about the slopes of parallel lines. So what do we think is true about the slopes of parallel lines? Well, it's saying that L1 is parallel to L2. Well, this slope was 1/2. This slope was 1/2. Saying L3 and L4 are parallel. This was -2/3 and -2/3. So the slopes of lines that are parallel are the same. So slopes of lines that are parallel are the same. On to your debriefing set.